Hey there and welcome back to XCOM 2. My name is Pete and today we complete another episode of our Legend Ironman walkthrough of XCOM 2 War of the Chosen. Last time we left off after an entertaining little episode that saw us complete the Rise of the Robots achievement. We took 3 sparks into a mission that also featured the Chosen Assassin and somehow made it out alive, and today we are actually going to unlock another elusive achievement, specifically the one for completing a mission with soldiers who are all considered tired. Now, in War of the Chosen, this achievement is actually fairly easy to grab because it does not specify how many soldiers you need to bring. So in theory, you could therefore send only a single tired soldier and still unlock it. Now, under normal circumstances, trying to solo a mission with a single soldier would be a catastrophic idea, but there is one exception. Before we get to that, however, we are presented with another rumor, this one for intel, and after declining to investigate immediately, we are presented with a second one, this one for grenade and ammo, basically randomized items from the proving ground. There is also one other thing that we want to do before we embark on today's mission, and that is to pay a visit to the black market, which, as you can see, is interested in autoloaders, venom rounds and superior repeaters. And we will actually be selling one of our 2 venom rounds here. I don't really find them to be particularly useful. And as soon as we confirm the transaction, we unlock the Shadow Broker achievement, as we have now in fact sold goods worth more than 1,000 supplies. We can also take a brief look at the list of things to buy here. Let me know if you feel like there's anything on here that you think we should grab. For today at least, we will leave again and now take care of today's mission. We will attack the alien facility in New Mexico. This facility has already contributed 4 points of progress to the Avatar project. It is also protected by 12 enemies, although none of them too scary apart from maybe the sector pod. And finally, it is located in Warlock territory.
Setting course for the Mexican regional tract.
Now, don't worry, the Warlock is not going to show up on this mission. If I have counted correctly, he is still on his cooldown timer, and even if he wasn't, he is only going to appear once we reveal ourselves, and as you can see, that is not going to happen. Because yes, we are just sending in a single soldier for this one, a tired Dragunova. I remember promising you that I would show you how to take out these alien facilities easily, and with Dragunova currently being tired, we can combine that showcase with unlocking another achievement. So without any further ado, let's head out and see how this goes.
Sky Ranger deployed.
In position for deployment.
We have a positive confirmation on the position of a facility conducting research crucial to the Avatar project in this region. The coordinates are locked in for a tactical strike. Move to the designated position and plant the X4 charges. Once they're armed, move to minimum safe distance and we'll turn that place into rubble. Menace 1-5. Target coordinates are locked in. Move to designated position and place the X4 charges.
We're hidden. Let's keep it that way.
Alright, so first things first, we luckily do not have a random resistance soldier joining us for this one. Had that been the case, I would have aborted the mission immediately. Instead, Dragunova is all on her own with the alien facility right in front of her, so I would say, let's get moving. Now, we do not detect any alien activity on ours or the enemy turn. Unfortunately, we also have a river right in front of us that we cannot easily cross, so I suppose we'll have to take a small detour.
The target is marked. An alien scouting party.
Alright, and just like that, we detect our first group of hostiles, 3 Advent soldiers that are really of no particular interest to us, because we are simply going to sneak by, detect another turret on the roof, and then end our turn. And once again, no further hostiles come into sight as the enemies get their turn. As you can see, the Advent pod also refrains from patrolling, and so we can already make our way towards the facility entrance.
As you order, Commander. You can never escape my sight. Their clumsy patrol is moving.
Now that reveals a second roof turret as well as a heavy mech and a purifier. Once again though, there is no need to concern ourselves with any of them. Instead, we can open the door and stealthily bring Dragunova in position close to the X4 planting spot.
Menace 1-5, you're near the target position.
Now, as you can see, that planting spot is guarded by a sector pod accompanied by 3 more Advent soldiers, which now brings us to the slightly risky part of the entire endeavor, because the spot that we need to get to plant the X4 is easily flankable. On the other hand, at least for now, it looks like none of the enemies here are really patrolling much. Still, we are playing it safe for one more turn. Ideally, for this strategy to work best, you want to finish your turn in the X4 planting spot without actually planting the X4, but I think we'll be able to make do with this approach as well. And just like that, we now detect 2 more enemies, bringing the total, not counting turrets, up to 11, which kind of indicates that another unique enemy might be present, but at least for the time being, they do not show themselves, although at this point, some of our enemies do start patrolling, so I think it was a good idea to stay out of the flankable position. So here we are then, and in just a moment all hell is going to break loose, as we are just about to plant the X4 charge, and that is going to reveal our Reaper.
I'm on the move.
Now, one crucially important part about this next move is that we have access to the exterior, and you may have also seen those holes in the roof. Once again, in just a second, those will be of vital importance.
Menace 1-5, status confirmed. X4 charges are armed. Move to the extraction point for immediate evac.
So, the X4 has been planted. Thankfully that did not cost us an action, but Dragunova is now revealed and has already used up half her turn, and in that revealed state her movement range is also decreased. That is important to keep in mind because we cannot place evac zones inside of enemy buildings, that is, except for when these buildings have parts of their roof open. And to be honest, I actually love that the game allows you to do this, because of course it would be possible to evac out of here and into the Sky Ranger.
Let's go, now!
And so, with the evac zone now placed, nothing stops us from doing exactly that. You can see here the game even marks the tiles where it's not possible to evac.
Moving out. You will never hide from me.
And even though we also activate the Viper Inspector pod on our way out, they will have much bigger things to worry about in just a second, as we can now hit that evac button and blow the facility to pieces.
This day is done.
Menace 1-5, status confirmed. X4 charges detonating.
Alright, and there we go. This now officially unlocks the Weary Warriors achievement. You can also see here that apparently there were 13 enemies on the map, but I believe this screen actually counts the turrets. So in other words, if the Shadow Chamber was right, then we may have just avoided a run-in with the Warlock after all, or perhaps even with another entity that we have not yet faced. Either way, we did what we came here to do. Dragunova obviously has gotten even more tired as a result, so let's send her back home for some much-needed rest and recovery.
Advent officials revealed today's maneuver by local peacekeepers was a planned exercise. Citizens should not be alarmed. All weapon fire and wounds were simulated to better train Advent forces.
Nothing boosts morale like a few dead aliens. We got more than our share today.
Well, that certainly depends on how you look at it, because we obviously did not kill a single enemy ourselves, and as a result also do not recover any loot.
With the alien facility destroyed, their efforts to develop the Avatar project will likely suffer a substantial decline, at least for the time being. Excellent work, Commander.
And yes indeed, the destruction of the alien facility here also reduced Avatar project progress by a whole 4 points, although it did so at the cost of Dragunova now being shaken, so she will have to rest for a little while until we can use her again. Now, unfortunately, that is not the only consequence of sending her out tired. She has also picked up the negative cautious trait. Essentially, this trait means that she now has a chance to use the hunker down action after moving, and that is obviously something that we do not want to see, but as long as she's shaken, we can't do anything about it. After the 15 days have passed, however, we will send her straight to the infirmary. Now, moving on, we can head back into the world map and see 4 points of Avatar project progress being removed. And at this point, I also don't really think that it's worth pursuing rumors anymore unless they have anything immensely useful for us. In this case, the first 2 rumors here are highly dependent on luck of the draw, resistance contacts we obviously no longer need, and for intel we are currently decrypting an alien data cache, so let's keep building that radio relay and keep progressing towards the next achievement. First of all though, Esteban Flores unlocks the psionic ability Null Lance, and of course we will keep training. I think for the next ability Insanity here strikes me as the most sensible of the three, and his psionic companion Mad Lewin will be done in just a second too. And indeed, there he is, our potato farmer now unlocking Fuse, and with Sustain being offered as one of the three choices here, I think we'll have to go with that one. Admittedly, I'm hoping that it will never actually come into play, but having the option to essentially sacrifice a soldier and having the guarantee that they won't die could be immensely valuable. Up next then we complete our second experimental powered weapon, the Hellfire Projector, basically an upgraded version of the Flamethrower. Because of that, it's not necessarily my favorite powered weapon. Of the 4 available ones, it has the lowest damage output and doesn't pierce or shred any armor, so let's order number 3 right away.
Interesting choice. I'll send word as soon as we're finished, Commander.
Once again, we want to unlock all 4 of these experimental powered weapons as quickly as possible. For achievement purposes, we still need to kill enemies with every single one of them, and obviously it is not guaranteed that we always get a different one.
When inspired, our team is actually quite efficient.
Right, and this is why I didn't really think it to be necessary to pursue that intel rumor, as we now obtain 151 intel off of the data cache decryption.
I am ready to begin on your order, Commander.
Now for our next project, we could follow up on the modular vector rifles breakthrough. A third upgrade slot on our Reaper weapons would be immensely useful, especially considering just how often we actually use Reapers, but within the scope of this game, 10 days is a long time, and I think we should start focusing a bit more on actually finishing the series, so we'll skip the breakthrough and instead now perform the Berserker Queen Autopsy. After all, it's already been 4 episodes since we actually killed her.
The most dangerous of my 3 test subjects, the Berserker Queen, also represents the greatest leap towards the boundaries of what could be considered reasonable and ethical research. Even in wartime, I must consider the fact that by providing an already unstable alien being with equipment that may further its own capabilities, I risk crossing a line that can never be uncrossed.
Alright, and with that research underway, our science staff is busy for the next 3 days. Completing this project will unlock another very useful item, and in the meantime we can finish building that radio relay. So, this now unlocks the Sun Never Sets achievement, as we have now in fact built a radio relay on every single continent, which in turn also means that we can now make contact for cheap with both the Western and Eastern US, and to obtain the North American continent bonus we obviously want to do so. Thankfully we have more than enough intel to grab both of them immediately.
Picking up indications of the Elder's Warlock actively working in this region.
Right, so the Western US are Warlock territory. I don't think that's entirely surprising. Let us now make contact with the Eastern US as well, which then marks region number 16. And there we go, we have now made contact with all 16 resistance regions in the game. We do not get any achievements for this, at least not yet. There is one coming our way shortly though, as soon as we build the second radio relay in North America, and because we will make a bit more money there, we will build it in the Eastern US, to then unlock the final continent bonus.
Chosen Warlock is hard at work for his masters in this area.
This will prove to be an important step forward.
And just like that, the Berserker Queen Autopsy is finished. Let's find out what we obtain as a result.
As Dr. Valen noted in her own report, it was irresponsible and borderline irrational for her to have pursued this research, knowing the incredible risks involved, not just to herself, but to what little of humanity as a whole remains.
So, just like the Viper King Autopsy granted us the Serpent suit, we now unlock the Rage suit. In terms of its functionality, however, this one is certainly a little different. It is essentially a powered suit of armor, not unlike the War suit, and we will most likely take it out into the field very soon.
Commander, Now that we've managed to bring the alien's artifact back to the Shadow Chamber, we should start the analysis as soon as possible. It's risky, but I don't see any way we can avoid powering it up if we're going to understand how it works.
And indeed, for our next research project we head over to the Shadow Chamber. However, we are not going to look into the recovered Advent stasis suit just yet. Instead, we want to pursue the encrypted codex data first. I don't want to spoil anything, but the order in which we complete these Shadow Chamber projects is of some importance, and I think it makes a whole lot of sense to get this one out of the way first.
To win this war, there is no approach that is beneath me in my service to the Elders.
Right, lovely. An assassin's sabotage gets some of our soldiers the fear of the Chosen trait.
The Chosen aren't afraid to resort to sabotage tactics if it means slowing down our efforts. We need to work to prevent these attacks before they catch up with us.
So let's head into the infirmary and take a look at the affected soldiers. And at the top of the list, sharpshooters Sapphire West and Luna Radonis, which is definitely not ideal considering that we still have 2 Chosen active in this series. So let's begin treatment for Sapphire West immediately. We need her back in action and capable of fighting the Chosen as soon as possible.
Thanks, Commander. The new workshop will do just fine.
Alright, and with that we finally have a workshop up and running. Let us now take a closer look at what this facility can do.
I know space is limited, Commander. I appreciate the additional workshop facilities. We'll make good use of them.
Right, so the workshop essentially converts 1 engineer into 2, as we can staff an engineer in here and obtain 2 gremlin drones, and these gremlins effectively behave just like regular engineers. Now, as you can see, by purchasing the workshop upgrade, we can staff up to 2 engineers for a grand total of 4 drones. However, it is very important that we keep in mind that we can only use these gremlins in facilities directly adjacent to the workshop. Now, I'll be entirely honest, considering our current number of engineers, building the workshop was mostly done for show. Still, we can now use the 2 gremlins provided by Ophelia Morningstar to staff the power relay over here, which now boosts our total power capacity to 51 units, more than we will most likely ever need. Still, since we have the capacity to spare, we might as well now also upgrade the infirmary with the hypervital module. It's fairly cheap and essentially acts as an emergency button should we desperately need a given soldier, and as far as I'm aware it can also suppress negative traits for 1 mission, so who knows, we might even have to make use of it. Meanwhile, we will hold off on purchasing the workshop upgrade, at least for the time being. After all, the month is not over yet and we might still need the supplies, not to mention that we literally do not have any further engineer slots to fill, so at this point it would be a complete and utter waste.
Our soldiers took some hits during the most recent covert action, but word from the medical team is they'll all be fine.
Alright, and just like that, we have unlocked the Chosen Stronghold mission for the Warlock. Unfortunately, Grenadier QT did get injured in the process, but also earned herself a promotion.
We have recovered another piece of valuable information on the Elders' vicious children.
If we want to take out the Chosen once and for all, we should move to strike their stronghold. The Resistance has found our access point. We just have to make use of it.
So here we are, with the Warlock Stronghold now unlocked, and to be honest, I would like to complete this mission pretty soon, especially now that the Warlock has unlocked the All-Seeing strength. However, we are not going to launch the assault just yet. We also still haven't had our monthly Guerilla Ops, and I don't want to stretch our forces too thin, especially with all of those negative traits currently floating around.
We might take the Elders by surprise if we switch up our tactics. Maybe we should try something new.
Now, for our next covert action, we have a grand total of 14 to choose from, and I think we are going with this one right here. Unlocking a research breakthrough that gives us +1 sword damage. Obviously, only our rangers will benefit from this, but considering that we still need to complete a mission with all soldiers of the same class, this might make the ranger a more interesting pick for that class. Either way, we are sending out bondmates Nicholas and Mox to speed up the duration by 1 day, and the +4 aim bonus will definitely also be beneficial for our heavy gunner.
We will begin the covert action immediately, Commander.
Let us now also briefly take care of QT's final promotion to the rank of Colonel. As you can see, she is only lightly wounded for 4 days, so she should be back in action soon. And for her final ability, we are going with Rupture, simply because we already gave Saturation Fire to Typhoon. Under the right circumstances, however, both abilities can be excellent. And with that, we now have 2 Colonel-level Grenadiers in our ranks. the second class to achieve that feat after our Reapers, and technically also our Psi Operatives, but with those it is obviously a whole lot easier. With our third experimental powered weapon, we are then in luck unlocking the Plasma Blaster, so at this point only one more is needed to complete the entire set. Before we order that, however, let us use the Proving Ground to manufacture the Rage Suit. Just like with the Serpent Suit, we can only ever have one of these, but in pretty much every way it is a straight up improvement over the War Suit, so unlocking it as soon as possible is an absolute no-brainer. What is actually not mentioned in the description here is that you can mount a heavy weapon on this. In addition, it also gives the wearer the unique Rage Strike ability, a powerful armor-shredding melee attack. And just like with the Serpent Suit, we can improve the Rage Suit to the Rage Armor. That upgrade, however, not a Proving Ground project, but a straight-up engineering purchase. And so, for the fourth and hopefully final time, let us now order another experimental powered weapon.
We'll get started right away, Commander. I'll send word when the project is complete.
And with that, we can now keep scanning and should unlock the next achievement in just a moment.
We're reading you.
And there we are. With a radio relay installed in the eastern US, we have just grabbed the North American continent bonus. Live fire training allows us to use the GTS to fast-track new recruits to the rank of Sergeant, and it is the sixth and final continent bonus of the game, and unlocking them all in one playthrough has just earned us the Global Resistance achievement. And at this point, we really don't have anything else to do but to attack an alien facility, a chosen stronghold, or to scan for intel.
Avenger plotting new course.
And again, since we have not yet received this month's Guerilla Ops mission, let's scan. Those other enemy targets, after all, are not going anywhere.
Enjoy this brief distraction, Commander. For I am sure far greater challenges still lie ahead.
Alright, and with that, the Collector's Dark event has come into effect, something we might want to keep in mind the next time we encounter a Chosen. However, for today it looks like our next mission has finally arrived, so let's see what we can choose from this time. First of all, in the western US we have a mission that comes with both the low profile and the lost sitreps, and considering that A, low profile would make this needlessly difficult, B, we don't really need another engineer, and C, countering Viper rounds is also not that necessary, I think we'll move on to New Chile, which strikes me as a bit more interesting. Once again, the Lost are present, but we would be countering the very annoying signal jamming dark event, and unlike with engineers, grabbing another scientist is almost never a bad idea. With New Brazil then only offering us supplies and countering the Loyalty Among Thieves dark event, I think the decision is easy. We are in fact going to New Chile for this one, and I am already looking forward to the combination of Lost and high explosives.
Setting course for Sector 4, Chile.
Alright, this right here then our squad for this one, some pretty high-ranking soldiers. No ranger this time, instead we are sending out Psi Operative Matt Lewin. And yes, Julian is coming along again because we still need to unlock an achievement with him. Apart from that, the loadout for this mission is fairly standard stuff. This time we have the Serpent Armor on Tsunami, and that brings us straight to the Rage Suit, or the Rage Armor that we are now going to purchase. Like I said, especially in the Rage Armor version, it is more or less a straight improvement over the War Suit, and as such, the recipient here I think is obvious. We are giving this to none other but Grenadier Typhoon.
We've only got one of these things, so be careful with it. Just because you look like a Berserker doesn't mean you can go charging off into combat like they do.
And yes indeed, the visual is certainly something to get used to. Still, it is utility what counts for us, so let's slap on the blaster launcher. Julian is already carrying the plasma blaster, and with that I think we are ready to go.
Sky Ranger deployed.
In position to drop.
We've been picking up unusual readings coming from this area, and our recon team has confirmed that Advent is now operating some sort of massive psionic transmitter nearby. Shen and Taigen agree, if we destroy the transmitter while it's still connected to Advent's network, their operations across this entire region could be crippled. Advent has constructed a psionic transmitter in this area, tied directly into their primary network. Our intel suggests destroying it while it's still connected will severely damage their linked systems. Plant the explosives before they have a chance to pull the plug.
As I expected, Commander. There are significant readings indicative of the Lost moving throughout the combat zone. Be careful out there.
Okay, so here we are. Once again, our objective is to plant some X4 charges. Initially, we have 6 turns to do so, but we can of course extend that timer. This is, after all, not the first mission we complete of this type. And, well, my plan actually also was to complete it as part of this episode, get in and out quickly in about 15 to 20 minutes and call it a day. Well, let me just say that things did not quite work out the way I had intended. I have the footage already recorded, but it goes on for well over an hour, and I just don't feel like adding that to an episode that is already scratching the half-hour mark is a good idea. So here's what we're going to do. We'll make this a 2-parter. The next episode should then come out on Monday or Tuesday, I think, and we'll pick things back up right where we left off today. So apologies for the somewhat unexpected ending to the video, but adding commentary to another hour of footage is a monstrous task, one that most likely would have delayed the release of this video by 1 or 2 days anyway, so I think it's best if you just get the full action-packed mission next week. Until then, I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, then I would be happy if you could leave a thumbs up. If you like what I'm doing, then you can of course also subscribe to the channel to stay up to date, grab some merch over on shop.petecomplete.com, or check out and maybe even pledge to the Pete Complete Patreon. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.